Chapter 1. The Secret Keeper. The comfort of routine. The cafe was their place. Dianne Lee traced the rim of her coffee cup, watching the steam curl into the air. The bell above the door chimed and she didn't need to look up to know who it was. The sound of his laughter, warm, familiar, floated across the room before he even slid into the seat across from her. "Sorry I'm late," William Chin said, grinning as he dumped his backpack onto the floor. "Bio lab ran over." Dianne rolled her eyes but couldn't fight the smile tugging at her lips. "You're always late." "Yeah, but you love me anyway." Her heart stuttered. "If only you knew." William flagged down the waitress, ordering his usual, black coffee, no sugar, before turning back to Dianne. "So what did I miss?" "Just me losing my mind over this lit essay." She tapped her notebook where half-formed sentences and scribbled-out ideas littered the page. William leaned over, squinting at her messy handwriting. "You're overthinking it. Just write what you feel." "That's the problem." The unspoken truth. They fell into their usual rhythm, William teasing her about her highlighter obsession, Dianne pretending to be annoyed when he stole a sip of her latte. It was easy. Safe. But then William's phone buzzed. His whole face lit up. Dianne knew that look. "Who's got you smiling like an idiot?" she asked, forcing her voice to stay light. William turned the screen toward her. A girl with wavy blonde hair and a bright smile stared back. "Sophia. We met at Jake's party last weekend. She's different." Different. The word lodged itself in Dianne's chest like a blade. William kept talking, oblivious. "She's into photography like you. And get this, she actually likes my stupid puns." Dianne's fingers tightened around her cup. "I like your puns too. The art of pretending." He should say something. Tell him. But the words stuck in her throat. Dad, she smiled. "She sounds great." William's grin widened. "Yeah. I was thinking of asking her out. Maybe that new Italian place downtown." "Our place." Dianne had picked it for his birthday last year. "You should," she said. "I heard their pasta is amazing." William nudged her foot under the table. "You're the bestie. Knew you'd hype me up." "As I always do." The aftermath. Later, alone in her apartment, Dianne let the mask slip. She pulled out the sketchbook hidden under her bed, pages filled with William. William laughing. William studying. William with that soft look he got when he thought no one was watching. Her pencil hovered over a fresh page. She started drawing again, William, his eyes bright with happiness, for someone else. A tear smudged the paper. She closed the book. "I love you," she whispered to the empty room. "And you'll never know." Chapter 2. The Perfect Girl. The morning after. Dianne's phone buzzed at 7:03 a.m. Emergency. "Need your help." She groaned, rolling onto her stomach to squint at the screen. William never texted this early unless it was something ridiculous, like the time he'd locked himself out of his apartment wearing only a towel. She typed back, "If this is about your laundry again, I'm blocking you." His reply was instant. Worse. "I have a date with Sophia tonight." Dianne's stomach dropped. "And?" She forced herself to reply. "And I have no idea what to wear. Or where to take her. Or how to not be a disaster. Help." She exhaled, pressing her forehead into her pillow. "I should ignore him. But old habits died hard. Give me an hour. I'll be over." The Best Friend's Guide to Dating. William's apartment was a disaster. Hoodies piled on the couch, half-empty protein shakers littering the counter. He stood in the middle of the chaos, holding up two nearly identical blue shirts. "Which one says, 'I'm charming but not trying too hard'?" Dianne folded her arms. "They're the same shirt." "No, this one has buttons." He frowned. "Do I look better with buttons?" He wanted to scream. Instead she grabbed the softer, well-worn Henley from his closet, the one that brought out the gold in his eyes. "Wear this. And stop overthinking." William beamed. "Knew I could count on you." Her chest ached. Flashback. As William rummaged for shoes, Dianne's mind drifted to sophomore year, the night she'd realized she loved him. They'd been studying in the library when a thunderstorm knocked out the power. William, Ever the drama queen had pretended they were trapped in a horror movie. "If we die, I'm haunting you first," he joked, lighting their way with his phone. But when Dianne tripped in the dark, his arms shot out to steady her. For one breathless moment his laughter faded and he just looked at her. Then the lights flickered on and the spell broke. "You okay?" he'd asked. She'd lied. "Yeah." Now, watching him fret over date night cologne, she wondered if he'd ever really seen her at all. The betrayal of kindness. "Okay, final verdict." William spun in front of the mirror. "Do I look perfect?" Dianne cut in. "Too sharp." She softened it with a smile. "Sophia's lucky." William's grin turned shy. "Nah, I'm the lucky one." The words twisted in her ribs. Her phone buzzed. A meme from her roommate, Jess. "When you third wheel your own life." Dianne choked on a laugh. William peered over her shoulder. "What's so funny?" She swiped the notification away. "Nothing. Just Jess being Jess." The unseen goodbye. At the door, William hesitated. "You sure you don't mind? I feel bad ditching our movie night." "Yes." "Go. Have fun." She shoved him lightly. He pulled her into a hug. "Love you, Dee." Her fingers clutched the back of his shirt for half a second too long. "Love you too." When the door closed, she slid to the floor, pressing her palms to her eyes. Jess's voice floated from the hallway. "You're really bad at this whole unrequited love thing." Dianne groaned. "Shut up." Jess tossed her a pint of ice cream. "Eat your feelings. I'll cue up Pride and Prejudice." Dianne dug in her spoon. "Knightley or Firth?" The aftermath. Later, Diane's sketchbook lay open on her lap. She'd drawn William 100 times but never like this, smiling at someone else. Her phone lit up with a photo. William and Sophia, cheeks pressed together in a dimly lit restaurant. His caption, "She said yes to a second date." Dianne typed, "Congrats," smiley face, and turned her phone face down. Outside, rain began to fall. Chapter 3, Smiling Through the Pain. The Invitation. Dianne was elbow-deep in clay when her phone buzzed. She wiped her hands on her apron before checking the screen. A text from William lit up the display. "Double date tonight. You, me, Sophia, and her friend Ryan. 7 p.m. at Mario's. No excuses." Her stomach lurched. Ryan? She didn't even know who that was. Jess, perched on the stool beside her, peeked over. "Oh hell no. You are not going." Dianne bit her lip. "I have to." "Why?" "So you can watch William feed Sophia tiramisu while some random guy tries to flirt with you." Dianne didn't answer. She just stared at the half-formed clay vase in front of her. Lopsided, fragile, threatening to collapse. Much like her resolve to set up. Mario's was their place. The tiny Italian restaurant where William and Dianne had shared countless late-night study sessions and inside jokes over shared plates of garlic bread. Now it was tainted. William waved her over to the booth where he sat with Sophia, their fingers intertwined on the table. Next to Sophia was a tall guy with a confident smirk. "Ryan?" "Dianne." William grinned. "You made it." Like I had a choice. Ryan stood up, extending a hand. "Hey, I've heard a lot about you." Dianne forced a smile. "All good things, I hope?" "Mostly that you're the only one who can put up with this guy." He jerked a thumb at William, who fake gasped in offense. Sophia laughed, leaning into William. "It's true. He talks about you constantly." Diane's chest tightened. "Of course he does. The performance. Dinner was torture. Ryan was perfectly nice, charming even, but every time he tried to engage Dianne in conversation, her eyes flickered to William. To the way he tucked Sophia's hair behind her ear. To the way Sophia whispered something that made him laugh, his nose scrunching in that way Dianne adored. She was an outsider in her own life. At one point, Ryan nudged her. "You okay? You've been quiet." Dianne stabbed a fork into her pasta. "Just tired." William frowned. "You've been working too hard on that art project, huh?" Art project? Like her sketches of him were just some casual hobby. "Yeah," she murmured. "Something like that." The breaking point. When the check came, Ryan insisted on paying for Dianne. She opened her mouth to protest, but William cut in. Let him be. You deserve to be treated. The words stung. Is that all I am? Someone who needs to be treated because you're too busy treating her? Outside the restaurant, Sophia hugged Dianne goodbye. We should do this again. Maybe next time you and Ryan can. I'm seeing someone, Dianne blurted. Silence. William's eyebrows shot up. Wait, what? Diane's pulse roared in her ears. Yeah. Phew. Not a big deal. Ryan looked understandably confused. Sophia smiled politely. William just stared. Why didn't you tell me? He asked, voice oddly tight. Dianne shrugged. You've been busy. And with that, she turned and walked away before he could see her lie crumble. The fallout. Back in her apartment, Dianne collapsed onto her bed, still in her dress and heels. Jess appeared in the doorway. How was the double date from hell? Dianne groaned into her pillow. I told them I was seeing someone. Jess froze. What? I panicked. Ryan was nice, but he's not William, Jess finished softly. Dianne exhaled. Now I have to keep up this stupid lie. Jess sat beside her. Or, you could tell the truth. Dianne squeezed her eyes shut. Some lies were easier to live with than the risk of losing everything. Chapter 4. The confession, but not hers. The interrogation. Diane's phone buzzed for the 12th time that morning. William, since when do you keep secrets from me? William, who is this guy? William, Dianne. Answer me. She groaned, burying her face in her hands. Last night's impulsive lie was spiraling out of control. Jess smirked over her coffee. Told you he'd lose his mind. This isn't funny, Dianne muttered, though part of her thrilled at William's sudden intensity. Since when did he care so much? Her phone buzzed again. William, I'm coming over. Her stomach dropped. The confrontation. William arrived in record time, his hair slightly windswept like he'd sprinted there. He planted himself in Diane's doorway, arms crossed. Explain. Dianne feigned nonchalance. There's nothing to explain. Bullshit. He pushed past her into the apartment. You never hide things from me. Who's the guy? She hesitated. His name is Daniel. Lame. Why did I pick the most generic name possible? William's jaw tightened. How long? A few weeks. And you didn't tell me? His voice cracked slightly. Diane's pulse spiked. Why does he sound hurt? Jess, watching from the kitchen, coughed loudly. I'm gonna go. She grabbed her bag and shot Dianne a you're-on-your-own look before slipping out. Silence settled between them. William exhaled. I thought we told each other everything. If only you knew. Favor. To Diane's surprise, William dropped the subject. Until 3 days later when he showed up at her door with a request. I need your help writing something. He held out a notebook. She frowned. What is it? He rubbed the back of his neck. A love letter. For Sophia. The air left her lungs. I want it to be perfect, he continued, oblivious. And you're the best with words. Cruel irony. Dianne took the notebook with numb fingers. Sure. The letter. That night, Dianne stared at the blank page, her chest hollow. How do I write the words that will make him love her more? Her pen hovered. Then, in a moment of weakness, she wrote her truth instead. You have this way of making the ordinary feel magical. Like coffee at midnight or the quiet before the rain. I don't know when it happened, but somewhere between all the laughs and the stupid arguments I fell for you. And I don't know how to stop. She crumpled the page immediately. Stupid. Selfish. She started over, crafting something sweet and safe. Something Sophia would adore. When she gave it to William the next day, he beamed. This is perfect. You're perfect. The praise burned. The unsent words. Later, Dianne dug out the crumpled draft of the letter. She smoothed it carefully, her fingers tracing the words she'd never say aloud. A tear hit the paper, smudging the ink. She folded it gently and tucked it into her sketchbook. One more secret to carry. Chapter 5. The Third Wheel. The Aftermath of the Letter. William's confession to Sophia was a success. Dianne knew this because her phone exploded with pictures. Sophia holding the letter, Sophia pressing it to her chest, Sophia kissing William under the glow of string lights. William, she loved it. You're a lifesaver. Dianne stared at the screen, her fingers trembling slightly before typing back. Told you it'd work. Happy for you. She threw her phone onto the bed and grabbed her sketchbook, flipping to a half-finished drawing of William's profile. She shaded the lines harder than necessary, her pencil nearly tearing the paper. Jess leaned against the doorframe. You okay? Dianne didn't look up. Peachy. Liar. Jess sighed. You know, avoidance isn't a long-term strategy. Watch me. The unwanted invite. 3 days later, William cornered her after class. Movie night at my place, he announced, slinging an arm over her shoulders. You're coming. Dianne stiffened. Who's we? Me, Sophia, UN. He hesitated. Ryan. She nearly choked. Ryan. William grinned, oblivious. Sophia thought it'd be fun to set you up again. Of course she did. Dianne forced a smile. I have a project due. Bullshit. William poked her side. You've been avoiding me since the double date. What's going on? I'm in love with you and watching you with her is killing me. Fine, she muttered. But I'm picking the movie. The movie night from hell. William's apartment smelled like popcorn and Sophia's vanilla perfume. Dianne sat stiffly on the far end of the couch, acutely aware of Ryan beside her. Close, too close. While William and Sophia occupied the other end, tangled together under a blanket. What are we watching? Sophia asked, twisting a strand of hair around her finger. Dianne held up the DVD. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. William groaned. Not this sad shit again. It's a masterpiece, Dianne shot back. Ryan chuckled. I like it. Dark and twisty. Just like you. Dianne blinked. Was that supposed to be a compliment? As the movie played, she stole glances at William. The way his thumb traced circles on Sophia's wrist. The way he whispered jokes into her ear. This is torture. Halfway through, during a particularly quiet scene, Sophia murmured, Would you ever erase someone you loved? William shrugged. Nah. Even the bad memories are worth keeping. Dianne's chest ached. I would erase this moment. The almost confession. After the movie, Ryan left with a lingering smile and a text me. Dianne pretended she would. William walked her out to her car, the night air crisp between them. So, he said, rocking back on his heels. You and Ryan, huh? Dianne exhaled sharply. There is no me and Ryan. William frowned. But you said. I lied. The words tumbled out before she could stop them. I'm not seeing anyone, okay? I just panicked. Silence. Then William burst out laughing. Dianne stiffened. What's so funny? You. He wiped his eyes. God, you had me going. I was legit jealous. Her breath caught. Jealous? But then he slung an arm around her shoulders, his grin easy. Next time just tell me you're not into the guy. No need for dramatics. The hope in her chest withered. Of course he didn't mean it like that. The sketchbook revelation. Back in her room, Dianne flipped open her sketchbook to a fresh page. Her pencil moved on its own. William's smile, his furrowed brow, the way he looked at her sometimes, like she was the only person in the room. A tear splattered onto the paper. She slammed the book shut. Chapter 6. The Breaking Point. The Distance Grows. Dianne stopped answering William's texts. Not all at once. Just delayed replies, one-word answers until the gaps stretched into days. She told herself it was fine. Yes, Sophia. He doesn't need me. But then he showed up at her art studio unannounced, his knuckles rapping sharply on the doorframe. Okay, what the hell? William's voice was uncharacteristically sharp. Dianne didn't look up from her canvas. I'm working. Bullshit. He stepped inside, kicking a stray paintbrush out of his path. You've been ghosting me for 2 weeks. She kept her strokes even. I've been busy. Too busy for one coffee? His hand closed over her wrist, forcing her to lower the brush. Look at me. When she finally did, his expression cracked. Frustration, hurt, fear. Did I do something? Yes. You loved someone else. No, she lied. The fight. William wasn't buying it. Is this about Ryan? Because if you're mad I pushed you toward him. I'm not mad, Dianne snapped, whirling to face him. Paint smeared across her apron. I just need space, Will. Is that so hard to understand? He flinched at the nickname, Will, something only she called him, but held his ground. For me, yeah. It is. The air between them thickened. Dianne clenched her fists. You've been obsessed with Sophia for months. You don't even notice when I'm... She cut herself off. William's eyes narrowed. When you're what? When I'm drowning. Forget it. She turned back to her canvas. No, say it. He grabbed her shoulders, spinning her around. What aren't you telling me? Her control snapped. Maybe I just need space from your perfect relationship, she shouted, shoving him back. Silence. William's face went blank. The aftermath. He left without another word. Dianne sank to the floor, paint streaking her jeans. Her chest heaved like she'd been running. Jess found her there an hour later. Well, Jess said, stepping over a spilled water cup. That could have gone better. Dianne pressed her palms to her eyes. I screwed up. Yeah. But maybe it was time. The other side of the story. William didn't go home. He drove aimlessly, Diane's words echoing in his skull. Perfect relationship? His phone buzzed. Sophia. Sophia. Movie tonight? He stared at the screen. Typed. Deleted. Finally. William. Can't. Need to think. He pulled over, resting his forehead against the steering wheel. Why did it feel like he'd lost something he couldn't name? The sketchbook confession. Midnight. Diane's apartment. She flipped through her sketchbook, pages and pages of him. William laughing, William focused, William loving someone else. On the last page she wrote, I can't do this anymore. Then she tore it out and lit it with a match. The paper curled to ash in the sink. Chapter 7. Fight for the future. The escape pod tumbled through space, its stabilizers damaged. Holly clutched the harness, her heart pounding as warning lights flashed. Cale's last words echoed in her mind. They won't hurt me. She knew it was a lie. The pod's thrusters fired, forcing her into the seat as it veered toward a nearby planet. A jagged, neon-lit world shrouded in perpetual twilight. The Orion's database identified it as Vexus 5, a lawless outpost where mercenaries and fugitives traded in secrets. A dangerous landing. Smoke filled the pod as it crash-landed in a grimy docking bay. Holly kicked open the hatch, coughing, and stumbled into chaos. Around her, shadowy figures eyed the wreckage with interest. That's a military pod, a scarred woman muttered. Trouble follows that one. Holly had no weapons, no money, just the clothes on her back and Cale's last command ringing in her ears. Survive. A hand grabbed her arm. You look lost, a smooth voice said. Holly turned to see a man in a dark coat, his face half hidden beneath a hood. But his eyes, sharp and gold, locked onto hers with eerie focus. You're the one from the past, he murmured. Cale's stowaway. Holly recoiled. How do you? Because, he said, pulling back his hood to reveal a face strikingly similar to Cale's. I'm his brother. The brother's bargain. His name was Ryan Veyron, ex-military, ex-fugitive, and currently the only person who could help her. Drake's had a bounty on Cale for years, Ryan said, leading her through the outpost's back alleys. You're just the excuse he needed to finally arrest him. Holly's stomach twisted. Where is he now? The Orion's en route to a high-security prison, Ryan said. Drake plans to execute him for treason, after he extracts everything he knows about you. Holly stopped dead. We have to get him back. Ryan smirked. I have a ship. But it'll cost you. I don't have anything to. You have knowledge, he interrupted. Pre-expansion Earth history. Military tactics. Forgotten tech. His golden eyes gleamed. Help me retrieve something and I'll help you save Kale. Holly didn't hesitate. Deal. A heist in the dark. Ryan's plan was insane. They infiltrated a heavily guarded vault beneath the outpost, where a relic from Holly's time was stored. A data core from an old warship, one that supposedly held lost Earth technology. Why is this so important? Holly whispered as they dodged patrols. Ryan's grin was razor sharp. Because it's the key to tracking temporal anomalies. Like you. Holly's blood ran cold. Drake could use this to find others like me. They stole the core, barely escaping the vault's collapsing defenses, and fled to Ryan's ship, the Spectre. The rescue. The prison transport was a fortress in space. Ryan's ship cloaked, slipping past scanners as Holly suited up. Once we're in, we have 6 minutes before backup arrives, Ryan warned. If we're late, we die. Holly checked the stolen blaster at her hip. Then we'll be fast. They boarded silently, taking out guards with precise strikes. Holly's hands shook, but her resolve didn't waver. Then she saw him. Kale was slumped in a cell, bruised but alive. His head snapped up as the door opened. Holly. His voice was raw disbelief. She rushed forward, gripping his face. I told you I wasn't leaving without you. For the first time, Kale looked afraid, not for himself but for her. You shouldn't have come. Holly kissed him, fierce and quick. Too late. The last stand. Alarms blared as they sprinted back to the Spectre, Drake's forces closing in. Ryan manned the guns, covering their escape as Kale dragged Holly aboard. Go. Kale barked. The ship lurched into warp, just as a missile grazed the hull. In the chaos, Holly clung to Kale, his arms locking around her like he'd never let go. You're insane, he breathed against her hair. Holly laughed, giddy with adrenaline. You love it. Kale didn't deny it. A promise forged in fire. As the Spectre hurtled towards safe space, Ryan tossed Holly a smirk. Not bad, for a relic. Kale shot him a glare, but Holly just grinned. They weren't safe yet. Drake would hunt them. The galaxy was still vast and dangerous. But in that moment, bruised, exhausted, alive, Holly knew one thing for certain. She'd crossed 1,000 years for a reason. And she'd fight for this future. For him. Chapter 8. Among the Stars Together. The Spectre emerged from warp space above a forgotten planet. Earth. Not the Earth Holly remembered. This one was lush and vibrant, its blue-green surface dotted with floating cities and glittering orbital rings. But the shape of the continents was still the same. Holly pressed her hand against the viewport, her throat tight. It's home. Kale stood beside her, his shoulder brushing hers. Drake's forces won't look for us here. The planet's under a preservation treaty. No military landings allowed. Ryan smirked from the pilot's seat. Sentimental and strategic. My brother's going soft. Kale ignored him, his focus entirely on Holly. There's something you need to see. The secret in the stars. They landed near the ruins of an old city, one Holly recognized instantly. This is where I lived, she whispered as they walked through vine-covered streets. That was my bus stop. That's where I bought coffee every. Her voice broke as they turned a corner. There, hidden beneath a crumbling overpass, stood a small time capsule vault, its surface etched with faded letters. Project Echo Test 47. Kale placed a hand on the door. This is why you're here. The truth unfolds. Inside, holograms flickered to life, recordings of scientists in familiar lab coats. Final entry, a woman's voice echoed. If our calculations are correct, the quantum echo will stabilize in approximately 1,000 years. The subject won't remember, but her consciousness will anchor the transition. Holly's knees buckled. They sent me. Kale steadied her. Not just you. Dozens of volunteers scattered across time. You were meant to wake up in this era all along. Ryan whistled. So the accidental time traveler was actually a time pioneer. Holly stared at the holograms, at her own face among the researchers. I agreed to this? To save a future you'd never see, Kale said quietly. That sounds like you. Drake's endgame. They didn't have time to process the revelation. An alarm blared from the Spectre. Ryan cursed. Drake's found us. Kale grabbed Holly's hand. The core you stole, it's not just a tracker. It's a key to stabilize time jumps. He wants to control it. Holly met his gaze. Then we destroy it. The final stand. They set the trap in the ruins of an old stadium. When Drake's forces landed, they didn't expect the ambush, or the way the unstable core reacted to Earth's magnetic field. Holly stood at the center, the core pulsing in her hands. You wanted a weapon? She called to Drake. Here it is. He smashed it to the ground. A shockwave of temporal energy erupted, sending Drake's men scrambling as their own tech short-circuited. The commissioner screamed, "You'll regret this," before his shuttle dragged him away. And you, Dawn. In the quiet aftermath, Kale pulled Holly close. That was incredibly reckless. She grinned up at him. Worked, though. Above them, the first stars of evening appeared. The same ones Holly had once dreamed beneath 1,000 years ago. Ryan clapped Kale on the shoulder. Well, brother? What now? Kale didn't hesitate. We rebuild. We protect this planet. And we... His voice caught as he looked at Holly. We stay together. Epilogue. Written in the stars. 1 year later. The Orion sailed through a nebula, its hull gleaming with new repairs. In the observation deck, Holly leaned against Kale, their fingers intertwined. Think we'll ever find the others? She asked. The ones like me? Kale kissed her temple. We've got all the time in the world to look. And as the ship soared into the unknown, Holly knew one thing for certain. Some journeys take 1,000 years. Some loves cross galaxies. And hers was just beginning. Chapter 9. Starlit Beginnings. Extra chapter. 6 months after their final battle with Drake, the Orion drifted near the edge of a newly charted star system, one that hadn't existed on any maps from Holly's time. She sat cross-legged on the observation deck, scrolling through historical archives on a holographic screen. Kale had given her full access to the ship's databases, and she'd spent weeks digging through records, trying to piece together what had happened to Earth in the centuries she'd missed. The door slid open behind her. You're up late. Holly turned to see Kale leaning against the doorway, still in his uniform, his sleeves rolled up to his elbows. He looked tired but content, his silver eyes softening when they landed on her. Couldn't sleep, she admitted, patting the space beside her. Come stargaze with me? He didn't hesitate. A quiet moment. Kale settled next to her, his warmth seeping into her side. Outside, the nebula shimmered in hues of violet and gold, casting a dreamlike glow over them. What were you researching? He asked, nodding at the hologram. Holly exhaled. My old life. I found records of my parents. They never knew what happened to me. Kale's fingers brushed hers. You could visit their graves. Earth's preservation team keeps records of burial sites. She shook her head. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. A comfortable silence settled between them. Then, do you ever regret it? Kale asked quietly. Ending up here? Holly turned to face him fully. Not for a second. His thumb traced her knuckles. Even with the danger, the chaos. He grinned. Especially because of that. Kale huffed a laugh, a rare, unguarded sound that still made her heart skip. A surprise in the stars. The ship's AI chimed. Incoming transmission. Priority frequency. Holly frowned. Who's messaging us this late? Kale stood, pulling her up with him. Let's find out. They headed to the bridge, where Mira was already waiting, her violet skin illuminated by the main screen. You're gonna want to see this, she said, pulling up the transmission. A woman's face appeared, human mid-30s with sharp green eyes and a smirk that felt eerily familiar. If you're getting this message, it means the temporal anchor worked, she said. My name is Dr. Alara Voss. And if you've found Holly Carter, tell her we have more to discuss. Holly's breath caught. The woman on the screen was her. Or rather, the version of her who had volunteered for Project Echo. A new mission. The transmission ended, leaving behind a set of coordinates, deep in uncharted space. Mira whistled. Well, that's not creepy at all. Kale's grip on Holly's hand tightened. We don't have to follow it. But Holly was already smiling. Are you kidding? She squeezed his fingers. This is exactly the kind of trouble we specialize in. Kale sighed, but there was no real annoyance in it. Just fondness. His love. Then I guess we're going, he murmured. Holly pressed a kiss to his jaw. Admit it. You'd be bored without me. He didn't argue. The journey continues. As the Orion adjusted course, Holly stood at the helm, Kale at her side. Somewhere out there more answers waited. More mysteries. Maybe even more people like her, lost in time waiting to be found. But for now she had her crew. Her future. And the man who had crossed galaxies to keep her safe. The stars stretched endlessly before them. And Holly couldn't wait to see what came next. Chapter 10. Love Finally Spoken. The storm before the calm. Dianne stared at the sketchbook in William's hands. Her heart beat a wild, untamed thing in her chest. He drew me. Pages and pages. Her smile, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when nervous, the crinkle in her forehead when she concentrated. All the little details she thought he'd never noticed. She reached out, fingertips brushing the paper. When did you? Started the night you left your sketchbook at my place. His voice was rough, like he hadn't slept. Couldn't stop thinking about how you see me. Wanted to learn how to see you like that too. Her breath hitched. William stepped closer, the coffee in his other hand trembling slightly. I'm sober. Beth thought. And Dianne, his throat worked. I'm fighting. The confession. She let him in. They sat on her couch, knees almost touching, the sketchbook open between them. William traced the edge of a page where he'd drawn her asleep at her desk, sunlight pooling around her like a halo. I was scared, he admitted. Of what? That if I messed this up I'd lose you forever. His fingers found hers. But not trying felt worse. Dianne's pulse stuttered. What are you saying? William turned her hand over, pressing his lips to her palm. That I love you. The words hung in the air, soft, sure, final. He started crying. The first kiss. William wiped her tears with his thumb. Hey, look at me. She did. And then, finally, his mouth met hers, warm and sweet and right. Dianne clutched his shirt, pulling him closer, years of longing pouring into that single touch. When they broke apart, William rested his forehead against hers. Took us long enough. Dianne laughed through her tears. Shut up. He kissed her again. The aftermath. Jess walked in an hour later, took one look at them tangled together on the couch and immediately backed out. Nope. Not ruining this moment. But William. Hurt her and I'll end you. William saluted. Yes, ma'am. Dianne buried her face in his shoulder, laughing. The epilogue. 1 year later. William's graduation cap flew into the air, landing somewhere in the crowd. Dianne, standing on her toes, kissed him before he could go look for it. Gross, Jess called from behind them. Sophia, arm looped through her new girlfriend's, grinned. Took you two longer than us. William flipped them off, then pulled Dianne closer. Worth the wait. And as the sun set behind them, painting the sky in gold and pink, Dianne knew. Some loves were slow burns. But God, were they worth it. Think. Bonus Scene 1. Sophia's POV. Title, The Other Woman. Setting. The night Sophia confronts Dianne about her feelings. Chapter 7. Sophia had known from the start. Not because William talked about Dianne too much, though he did, but because of the way his voice softened when he said her name, like it was something precious. So when she cornered Dianne in the library, she wasn't angry. Just resigned. You love him, Sophia said, watching Dianne's fingers tighten around her coffee cup. Dianne didn't deny it. Does he know? No. But he should. Sophia sighed. Look, I'm not the villain here. I just want him to be happy. Dianne's eyes flickered up, wary. Even if it's not with you? Sophia smiled sadly. Especially if it's not with me. Bonus Scene 2. The Night of the Almost Kiss. Title, The power outage, William's version. Flashback, sophomore year. The lights went out, plunging the dorm into darkness. William's flashlight illuminated Diane's face. Her lips parted in surprise, her eyelashes casting shadows on her cheeks. God, she's beautiful. He leaned in before he could stop himself. The lights flickered on. He jerked back, heart hammering. What was I thinking? Dianne was his best friend. Ruining that would have been unforgivable. So he cracked a joke instead. Should we finish this essay? If only he'd known she'd wanted it too. Bonus Scene 3, The Wedding Speech. Title, Jess's Toast. Setting, Dianne and William's wedding 5 years later. Jess stood clinking her champagne glass. Most of you think this love story started in college. But I know the truth. She smirked. It started when Dianne, age 16, saw William trip over his own feet in the cafeteria and said, "He's kind of cute when he's clumsy." The crowd laughed. William groaned. Dianne hid her face in her hands. Jess raised her glass. To the slowest burn in history, and to William finally getting his head out of his ass. William stood, stealing the mic, to Dianne for never giving up on me. Their kiss was met with cheers.